Welcome to Story Time. Story Time is really a sharing of my heart, an invitation for authentic connection. And I like to do that facilitation of authentic connection by sharing stories, sometimes quips and specifics from my life's journey, my personal firsthand experience, as well as those stories shared with me, entrusted to me from the students and the clients that I walk this journey with. Today, I want to reflect a bit on the journey of doing hard things. It seems to me that that is one paradigm for which to view, to define our life's journey, a series of hard things. And the truth is, hard things is really more a matter of recognizing our inexperience or our reduced capacity to do the thing that is being asked of us. So as we come to this pause for authentic connection, for sharing of our life's journey, and perhaps recognizing that the journey that we see in past, as well as the journey that lies ahead, is asking of us to do hard things over and over and over again. Some of those hard things I now look back on and celebrate the achievements that I've overcome. And others I look back and I'm just simply grateful that I survived a season of undesired challenge. So as I share this perspective and these stories of doing hard things, I'm also reminded that life is not just the paradigm, just a perspective of life is hard and we do hard things, but rather we do the hard things so that we can get to the other side of struggle, of challenge, of obstacles, in order to find not only the elation that comes with achievement and success, but the ease that comes with expanding our understanding, and understanding rooted in compassion. This morning's practice, I was inspired by this idea that the breath is such a powerful teacher. And if you've studied with me at all, you know that that is the first and the most important practice of the yoga triumvirate of breathe, move, and rest, or pranayama, asana, and meditation. Because it's in the breath that we are reminded that the channels, the paths, the energy currents that move through us are reflective of those same paths that exist in the world as a whole. And so by prioritizing the breath, not only do we move the body, but we move the story that lives in our heart, that lives in our brain, that truly lives in our tissues. And much like how the Colorado River erodes the sides of the Grand Canyon, so too does our breath sand away the defenses that have perhaps shielded us from deep feeling, protected us from harm, from injury, from threat, yes, but also armored us from authenticity, from vulnerability, of being seen as the human imperfection, the human beauty that we are. So as we invite the breath into our practice as a way of sanding off the defenses, we can remember that those defenses are much like the layers of our kosha paradigm. They protect the Atman. They protect and define and give shape and order to the centered oneness spark that lives within each of us. That's the Atman center. So by inviting the breath and cultivating that attention of the breath, not only do I sand off some of the sharp burrs and edges, but I open the channel for free flow, for joy, for ease, for abundance. And in that space, I'm often welcomed back to the now to see with more compassion the journey that I have been living. That journey of being challenged, of doing hard things. And in that retrospection, I can see that the challenges that I face are not unlike the yoga practice challenge, the challenge of finding coordination of breath or coordination of limbs for that matter. Where is my right leg supposed to be in my left leg, right? In that sense that doing hard things is often a combination of the intellect, the brain understanding logic and reason and putting the pieces and parts together, or the heart's story of compassion and empathy, of feeling that sense of, am I allowed this emotion, right? Can I be with this feeling? But the intellect and the emotional are only two dimensions of what I have witnessed as far as my challenge. The physical challenge for sure. Can I do this? Can I endure the effort, which is more of an energetic expression, the longevity of withstanding the test over time? So when I think about the intellectual challenges in my story, it is often related to the pursuit of a degree of an education, of an understanding. But that also showed up in recovery after head trauma, after physical injury from surgeries or accidents, in which case I couldn't move the body. So I was stuck in the head and heart space, learning that those spaces were often not as compassionate when isolated from the world around me, from the busyness of doing. So physically, I embarked on a cross-country bicycle trip, 3,000 some miles in the course of 3.5 months. Definitely challenged the physicality of my body. But within the first week or 10 days, it was no longer about whether the body, the physical body, could do this endeavor. It was about whether or not I could stay with the intention of riding. Eat, bike, eat, bike, eat, bike, sleep. That was the mantra of the journey. Not all that different than breathe, move, rest. The mantra of my life's journey today. Physically, getting up every morning to ride 50, 60, 100 miles on my bicycle, to have a break just to prepare food and to nourish my body with both food, water, and even rest. Conversation and opportunity to connect with people along the way as I drove through areas of the country I'd never visited before. Intellectually, writing my dissertation was probably the most difficult thing intellectually I've ever done. And the fact that it was brought to my present on the heels of a concussion, a devastating injury resulting in traumatic brain injury, TBI, to then work so hard physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, to be able to form not only a complete sentence, but to create new knowledge as a contribution to the world as a result of my dissertation. In other words, doing hard things is just a matter of finding the edge of where we're familiar, where we feel confident and competent, and saying yes to the uneasiness that lies beyond. This morning's asana practice was a yin practice. And yin is all about finding that edge, propping and supporting ourselves, creating a calm, abiding space in order to stay there for time. And it is the magic of time. It is the magic of our enduring that makes for a good story, that makes for an opportunity to learn from these lessons. Thich Nhat Hanh has even shared that compassion and suffering exist together. He says that many people aspire to go to a place where pain and suffering do not exist, a place where there is only happiness. But in his other teachings, he reminds us that suffering is all about our mindset, an attachment to the way the thing is supposed to be. Well, as someone who is accomplished in many ways, from academia to starting my own business, holy moly, talk about a challenging endeavor, economically, for sure, intellectually, absolutely, but emotionally, to put yourself out there over and over and over again in the hopes that someone will say yes to what you're offering. Is there any more significant way of being vulnerable than to share our life's work, to give from the abundance that is our cultivation, the seeds we plant, where we give our attention, to the harvest of this is the bounty that has been my life's work. This is where I have sanded the edges of prickled defensiveness in order to smooth out, to allow the free flow of ideas, of prana, letting go of what I expected. I can honestly tell you, I never intended intended to have a YouTube channel dedicated to teaching yoga philosophy, to leading the practice of breathe, move, and rest. And yet life unfolds in ways that we never expected, because truth be told, I never intended to be a yogi, let alone a yoga teacher. I never intended to own and operate my own studio, let alone have my own business. And yet now, going on nearly 20 years of being self-employed and hard-earned education, I'm reminded of the power of the practice to do hard things. I don't know what hard things are on your buffet table of life's offerings. But when you choose wisely to show up and to do those hard things imperfectly, with courage, with tenacity, with a circle of support, and accept that the imperfection is the path forward to greater confidence, to greater competence, and most importantly, to greater compassion. And we align these energies to show up more authentically so that we can live more vibrantly. At least that's what I'm understanding from my practice of doing hard things and knowing that there are more hard things on the horizon. So I'm going to close with a poem. It's an untitled poem by Mary Ivancic. And it reminds me not only of this flow of the breath, the yoga practice, but also the analogy of letting the river sand away to create the beauty that is the Grand Canyon. Carving deeper and deeper into the truth that lies within and is revealed through the layers of shedding away all that we've used to protect and to perhaps hide ourselves. That when we can see all of the striations, that is the story of our living. And when we can let go of the fear, we can embrace the love that lies within. Here is Mary Ivancic's poem. Body bends and opens. Soft flow of ocean floods my heart. Once rigid boundaries becoming permeable. Mind, witness to the transformation on the mat. Yeah, my body bends and opens, and along with my body, so too my heart and my mind. to let the flow of energy, of water, of life's trials and tribulations flood my heart to awaken compassion. Yes? So that those rigid boundaries, those defenses, those armors, those prickles, those thorns are sanded away. And when I can be still in the practice of breathing and moving and resting, when I can be still, my mind is able to witness the transformation that is happening incrementally, moment by moment, on the mat, on the cushion, on the sidewalk, in life. So my invitation to you today is to say yes to doing hard things. But the practice of yoga reminds us that we choose wisely. And we begin by first creating this calm, abiding, safe place. The togetherness, the collaboration and connection of our community. So that yes, we do our own work, but we are never alone. Good luck. May you breathe deeply and move freely, labor lovingly, and live vibrantly. Namaste.